Okay, hi. Today we're going to make ramen noodles again, and this time we're going to do some seared beef. It's going to be really good. Get ready, seared beef ramen. The first thing we do is we get our mise en place ready, and the first part of the mise en place is having cooked ramen noodles. Just so happen to have boiling water here, and we're going to add salt. Whenever possible, use the kosher salt. Kosher salt is bigger and it doesn't stick to your hands. That's probably why we use it. Now when I throw the salt in the water, it changes the boiling temperature of the water, so sometimes you get a bubble up. You have to remember to make the water quite salty, exactly as salty as the sea. So I'm going to test it. For you guys at home or in class, don't stick your finger in boiling water. Let the chef do that. But you can use a little spoon. Okay, that's about as salty as the sea. I've got some ramen noodles here. I have taken the liberty of throwing away the noodle packet, the flavoring packet. Flavoring packet is MSG, it's really rubbish. Instead we'll be using a beef broth today. So I'm going to start in boiling water, 2 packages of ramen. Now I'm going to get my vegetables and meat ready. I've got a shallot here. I'll cut the tip and tail off. And I'm going to slice it right in half. I'm only going to use half. Peel it. I've got some garlic here, peeled, ready to go. I've got a ginger here. I'm going to peel it with a knife instead of a peeler just for the sake of time. But I would recommend you use a peeler on your ginger. So peel your ginger with a peeler. That's why they call it a peeler. There we go. It's pretty handy. All right, so I've got my 3 base ingredients, a ginger, garlic, and shallots. So I'm going to slice this up. Remember, turn your hand in for the claw. So hand in protects my thumb. I'm going to slice up my shallot. I like the idea of a sliced shallot, so I'm going to leave it sliced. My garlic, same thing. I might dice it a little bit. Chopping it up with my hand in a claw. Don't forget, you're allowed to go slow when you're dicing things, all right? Now, I'm going to put my hand on top of the knife and cut it like this. Notice how my fingers are arched upwards. All right, fingers arched upwards. If I arch them down, I can cut my fingertip off. And I really like my fingertips. I think we all do. And ginger, again, I'm coming at it with a claw. I'm really grabbing it with my fingertips. And I'm going to slice this into long slivers. It's going to be kind of cool. So I've got shallots sliced into rounds. Let's see if we got a round. We got garlic diced and ginger into long threads, just because we like a little diversity of shape. There it is. I'm still cooking my ramen noodles. I'm going to stir them once, stir them twice. They're almost done. I do have in the sink a colander ready to go, and I also have a towel ready to get my hot pan. Of course, when I move the pan over, I'm going to say hot stuff. So I'm going to go for it right now. Hot stuff. All right. Got some draining ramen over there. So I've got my first stage of mise en place. I'm going to make additional mise en place right here. Mise en place, of course, means things in place. We'll be doing vegetables and beef today. I cut the tips and tails off my green onion, also called a scallion. I'm going to cut it into little rounds. Mostly because I like the practice. Again, I've come at it with a claw. As I get closer to my hands, I slow down with a knife. Well, I don't, but I recommend that you guys do. Make a little stack of those there. I've got a red pepper, previously washed, right? Yes. Everyone say yes. Yes. Okay, good answer. I have a small audience in front of us here. So notice I cut it in half vertically. And I just ripped out the guts. Now I'm going to cut it in any way I want. I can cut it in slices or into big blocks, but I'm going to cut them into slices because this looks kind of cool. This knife is really sharp, guys. If it touches your hand, you will get cut. So really think about and go a little slow. My green onion. I've got some broccoli here. It's going to be really delicious. Get to use a little bit of it. I made florets. These are huge, so I'm going to cut them into much smaller. Now broccoli, when it sears, it gets a really nice taste. But broccoli searing can be a little dangerous because it also burns. You have to be a little cautious. All right, here we go. Making small little flower trees here. People love their broccoli. Again, grab with a claw with your wrist out, fingers facing in towards the center of the cutting board here. All right. The last thing, we've got some carrots over here. I've pre-peeled them. I'm going to cut the tips and the tails off. And I'm going to cut, you can cut these in rounds, but since I'm such a fancy chef, haha, I'm going to cut them on a funny little angle. I think I've done this previously in other videos. But I'm going to cut them in a kind of like a cool shape like that. Just because it's really nice. We are really close to being ready to fry up all this stuff. The only thing left after this is the steak. All right, yep, so I've got all my mise en place kind of rocking here. Here comes the steak. We happen to have some delicious steak right here. I'm going to switch cutting boards over here. I think the camera's still going to get the cutting board. Yeah, okay. So you can just slice using the knife, pushing it. You don't have to push very hard. Grabbing a claw and just getting it as thin as you can. We're talking pretty thin. If you think of the shape or the size, rather the height of a pencil eraser, can you cut your steak half as thick as the height of a pencil eraser? That's a funny way to say it. You might say as thick as maybe 2 or 3/4 stacked on each other. There we go. So it's okay to go slow. We're not going to use all this because that's a lot of steak, and this is really nice steak. I can really feel it. A bad steak doesn't cut as easily. We're ready to go. All right, mise en place ready. Mise en place in this case includes pepper, salt, oil to fry with. We're going to use sesame oil, coconut milk, which I'm going to open, and beef stock. We're going to make a really hearty ramen today. So the beef stock is sort of an important deal. Bam. All right, we've got hot beef stock over here. We've got a hot burner here, like red hot. And I've got a wok ready to go. Which burned on the floor. Who knew? Nice. I'll be there forever. It's all good.
Left your mark. Okay.
That's my mark here. Okay, we've got a wok with a red hot burner. I'm going to put some oil in it. And we're going to start immediately with some steak. So I'm going to put about that much steak in, right in the hot oil. Careful, guys. If it's too hot and you're too slow, it's going to sizzle like crazy. So I've got the ramen, the steak in here. It's going to be cooking, looking like that. It's almost done. In fact, I'm going to put this over for a close-up here of the wok. All right, the beef is almost done. It's only been in there 15 seconds. At this stage, I'm going to add my ginger, my garlic, and my shallots. Ginger, garlic, and shallots. Stir it around. Oh, it's sizzling. I can feel the sizzle zapping on my hands. That's not the end of the world. Okay, so now I've got a lot of really pale-looking steak. Pale steak is not good steak, so I'm going to let it really kind of get some color. Unfortunately, as I let it get color, the garlic and the ginger and the shallots might start burning. So I'm going to be aware that there's a real time factor. Without the mise en place ready, we're in deep trouble. So on top of this stuff, I'm going to add my carrots, my peppers, my green onions, and my broccoli. You could do it that order if you want. Notice I haven't stirred it. So underneath all these vegetables, I still have the beef frying and getting brown. Also, next to the beef frying and getting brown, I've got the ginger, the garlic, and the shallots. I can take a secret look in here and see if it's burning, and oh, it's not. By adding the other mise en place items on top, what I'm doing is I'm trapping the steam, lowering the temperature, and allowing all the items to cook without burning. Pretty magical. All right. So I really want to stir this now because it's like all these vegetables. If I stir it now, I completely stop the browning of the beef. Don't stir it. All right. When you think you're ready to stir it, don't stir it. When you really want to stir it, don't stir it. When you really, really want to stir it, take a look, and if it's browning, you can stir it. Or you can actually flip it once or twice. Never flip a wok more than twice, because then you've unmixed it. Twice will bring the bottom to the top. Now you can see actually on this beef here, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's kind of gotten brown. And that's kind of what we want. Believe it or not, this ramen is almost done. I've got my cooked noodles over in the sink waiting. I've got my hot stock over here. I've got my coconut milk, salt and pepper. The only thing I could add is some curry powder. Do you have any curry powder in the fridge? In the cabinet? We're going to add some curry here, I suppose. So here's my second stir, 2 flips. Well, that's going to be really nice. By the way, this is almost exactly the same as a stir fry right here. So at this stage, I'm going to add a little salt, pepper, the salt, thank you, a little pepper here, and a little curry powder. Now once I stir that curry powder in, it's going to burn in like 3 seconds. Stirred. 1, 2, 3. Oh, just in time. I saved the day by deglazing with a little coconut milk. If I went 4 or 5 seconds, it would really become an acid. It would be terrible. All right. Now I'm going to add in my stock, which is hot. And I'm a tough guy, so I can handle a hot handle. Here comes the broth. Boy, it got really quiet really fast in here. So maybe you guys watching this video can now hear me a little bit, but we had some good sizzling here. So, that's really good. It came out pretty darn good. I haven't really done much to it. I'm going to let it come to a crazy boil, and I'm going to add my noodles in, and we're going to be done. At this stage, I could adjust the seasonings, but it's perfect. Oh my God! No, it's a joke. Actually, it needs a little more pepper, so I'm going to go a little pepper here. Do you have any sriracha hot sauce over there by chance?
I think I might have some.
Because if we had sriracha hot sauce, that would be good. I prefer to have sriracha, but we're just adding depth of flavor here. And a little heat, too, of course. All right, we've got a really seriously boiling broth here. I'm getting my noodles over here from across the kitchen. Here we go, into the broth. Okay, so everybody watching this, maybe you're a college kid, maybe you're a middle school kid, maybe you're a high school kid, but you can see this whole thing took really very little time, very little money. The ramen costs 20 cents each, a can of coconut milk costs $1.50, the steak costs $1, $1.50 or $2, that's where your primary cost is, and we're ready to go. The trick is having all your mise en place ready. Firstly, the steak cooks until it starts getting a little brown, then we add the small diced vegetables, the shallots, the ginger, and the garlic. Stirring it once maybe, then let it cook. Then when you really want to stir it, you can add the rest of the ingredients on top. Then when you really, really want to stir it, you don't. When you really, really want to stir it, you take a look inside and see if it's brown. Then you can stir it. And then you cook it a little bit more, adding your curry powder and then the liquid. And here we go. It came out really simple. Really, it's not a crazy flavor, really simple. And bon appetit. There it is, done.